Good day and welcome to Sports Geek on Africa Radio TV with Sbonelo Ngcobo and Johannes Peta. Please do not forget to do the honorable thing. Subscribe, like, comment, and even better, share this episode. Like they always say, the more, the merrier. On today's episode at the summit, we'll look at what's happening in as far as football is concerned, followed by the T20 Cricket World Cup that is taking the center stage out in Asia, co-hosted by none other than India and Sri Lanka. As we wrap things up, we'll quickly look what's happening in as far as rugby is concerned. Last week, the Blitzbokke were crowned the Perth champions, and we'll also look at what's happening in as far as Six Nations rugby is concerned. Like they always say, I always ask myself where to start, but they always say it always helps to start at the beginning. So let's give it a try and see how we go about it. Like I did mention that in today's episode, we'll start by looking what's happening as far as football is concerned. And there's no better place to look at what's happening in football than looking at what's happening as far as inter-club competition is concerned. Yes, things are taking shape in as far as CAF Champions League is concerned, so as the CAF Confederation Cup. Let's start with the elite competition, which is the CAF Champions League this time around. In as far as South African football perspective is concerned, things do not look great at all. Remember that South Africa this time around, they are only represented by Mamelodi Sundowns in CAF Champions League as compared to last season, where South Africa was spoiled for choice. They had Mamelodi Sundowns and Orlando Pirates flying the South African flag sky high. But this time around, things look horrible indeed from the South African perspective. The only team that's representing South Africa, which is Mamelodi Sundowns, they also face a possibility of not making it to the knockout stages. This weekend, their former employer in the form and shape of Rulani Mokwena and his Algerian outfit, MC Alger, they are invading Pretoria. The big question is, will Rulani Mokwena do his former employers, Mamelodi Sundowns, a smallanyana favor, or will Rulani Mokwena say, Eyamadoda, I peel? Johannes, this weekend, Sundowns, they find themselves in a must-win situation. They're lying third in their group with Rulani Mokwena, with his Algerian outfit, MC Alger, sitting at number 2. The big question is, where will Rulani Mokwena's loyalty sit? With his current employers or with his former employers? Eyamadoda Ipeli, or will it be my heart is with Mamelodi Sundowns? Good day and welcome once again.
Let me greet you, Spo, and our lovely viewers. Yeah, thanks for reaching us at One Africa Radio TV. And sit down, relax. You won't be disappointed. We've got a lot to dish out. But to answer your question, I see some panic as far as Mamelodi Sundowns is concerned. Remember, they've just drawn against St. Elo Lupopo 1-1, where they had to come from behind as Elo Lupopo took the lead courtesy of a goal from Malia, whereby break attack. But Mamelodi Sundowns had to dig deeper, courtesy of an equalizer from a corner kick headed in by Jaden Adams. That's where permutations were simple to say, okay, MC Alger just defeated Al Hilal last Friday 2-1. Yes. So, which means that victory takes them second on the standings because Mamelodi Sundowns were unable to beat their very own counterparts, the St. Elo Lupopo from the DRC. So, this is kind of, hence I'm saying there's so much panic in that team because they're in a must-win situation. It's now or never for them. They find themselves in an unfamiliar territory where we have never seen Mamelodi Sundowns. Every time when they participate in CAF Champions League, yes, they always top up their
They've always been
groups.
dominating, yeah.
And they've always been dominating in terms of how well structured they've been playing. So by then you check in, going into the weekend's game, Rulani Mokwena is in need of a win or a draw. So as we saw even in the first round of the match, which he ended stalemate goalless. Yes. So he made life difficult for Mamelodi Sundowns. At some point, Mamelodi Sundowns, I felt like they were lacking that game because Ronan Williams came to the party. And the very same Ronan Williams I'm talking about, he's just unable to keep a clean sheet. We also saw when after 2 games absent as Dennis Onyango as well as Riyad Petersen were introduced in goals, but also they couldn't do well. So, but then at least they won against Gomora 2-1, as we're still going to talk about shortly. So, but then you check in that game, he couldn't keep a clean sheet. And then you check again, Rulani Mokwena, as you just asked again, is he going to do Mamelodi Sundowns a favor,
Yes.
or will he just comes in and step up? Because this is the same MC Alger I've seen with Orlando Pirates last season, where Orlando Pirates beat them 1-0. Remember, they had this young star by the name of Ngcobo scored a wonderful
Yes,
goal.
yes, yes.
Then when they came here at Orlando Stadium, the game ended goalless for Pirates to progress. So they want to improve their last season's record, MC Alger. So we are in for a lovely match because of tactically, Rolando Mokoena has changed MC Alger. He's one of the coaches who plays that those smaller pockets, of which with Mamelodi Sundowns under
Typical Pep Guardiola style.
Pep Guardiola style, as it is a role model as well. Under Miguel Cardoso, I haven't seen them playing those kind of pocket football. So they're playing those transitional football, long balls. It's unlike Mamelodi Sundowns, of which I also include Steve Compiler in that tactic because of we saw him back in all the more than 15 teams he is coaching the Betway Premiership, including Kaizer Chiefs, where he flew dismally by not even lifting up, selling himself away. So Mamelodi Sundowns are in a must-win situation. Failure to get a victory here or it's over for them. That's the way I'm seeing because Al Hilal definitely will progress because. But you check the group at
Yes.
all the teams can qualify, including St. Elo Lupopo, who are currently number 4 on 5 points. Anyone can, of the two teams, from those 4 teams can qualify. It's a deja vu situation, but Mamelodi Sundowns, I see a lot of panic. As we know, we also received the news that one of the analysts has been suspended for leaking information to the very same opponent, MC Alger, under the coach of Rolando Mokoena. So much is taking place in that team.
You touched on a very, very good point that you see a lot of panic in the Mamelodi Sundowns camp. But the big question is, we've seen, like you've rightfully mentioned, that they've suspended their analyst, and we also had their head coach, Miguel Cardoso, making some very, very shocking utterances, saying that some of the match officials, they are seen visiting the referees. So surely, that's a sign of someone who's looking for someone to blame for his failure. So looking at where some Mamelodi Sundowns are, do you see Mamelodi Sundowns head coach Miguel Cardoso surviving the chop should Mamelodi Sundowns fail to make it to the knockout stages?
I think yes, because of currently when I watched, he's already under scrutiny, especially from the fans as well. They want his name out of Clorcop. You also check their sporting director Flemingberg. This
Yes.
is another sporting director who keeps failing at Mamelodi Sundowns. The fans also remember there was some at some point pouring him with water outside the venue there,
Yes.
unhappy with how he runs things as a sporting director. So at some point, I was a little bit concerned to say, no, as fans, you just have to write memorandum, submit the memorandum, and then tell the sporting director, we
This is
want
not
things
England, this
to
is
be fixed
Africa.
this way.
Memorandum, we don't do that.
So this thing of boycotting in an unprofessional manner, it was just uncalled for. Yes, I could understand that they are spoiled from winning Mamelodi Sundowns. As you know, they've done well, but hence when they were going to play that CAF Champions League final against Pyramids, I did state that they won't win CAF Champions League simply because if you want to conquer Africa, you have to start at home soil. So of which you check at home soil. Yes, we'll give them credit as far as the Betway Premiership are concerned for being 8-time champions on the trot, but you check domestically, you are MTN 8 Nedbank Cup, you're calling knockout.
Knockout,
They,
yes.
they haven't done well for me, which poses so many question marks to say you want to conquer Africa, but they're not doing well at home. Although also let's give credit to Orlando Pirates last season. They came close, it's just that they were punished by Fiston Mayela in that 3-2 loss against Pyramids, where at some point they led 2-1 and Mahongkota was in tremendous form, but they didn't hold on because of them struggling with aerial prowess of the very same Pyramids. So, but with Mamelodi Sundowns, I see so many panic buttons. So for them, I think Flemingberg need to improve the team because of they've signed players from abroad. Yeah, Brian Leon comes to mind. Racino comes to mind just to replace Lucas Ribeiro Costa. But for me, I'm not convinced about that signing to say no quality player so far has replaced Lucas Ribeiro Costa, whom he was the top goal scorer last season with 16 goals. And you check as well, Luno Santos as well. I felt like some of those players, they're a bit lazy, so they still need to up their tempo when they play so those tough matches. So those are some of the question marks to say you sign a player with 7 million, but the player is not given enough game time. Although he's got 1 or 2 goals for Mamelodi Sundowns is Brian Leon, but I still have to want to see more from him. But those things are just not happening. But for me, I don't see them making it in the quarterfinals.
Oh, yes, there you have it, Africa. My colleague Johannes Peta saying that he doesn't see Mamelodi Sundowns making it to the knockout stages this time around, even though we know exactly how ambitious Mamelodi Sundowns are concerned in as far as the Africa Interclub competition is concerned. Like previously, we did mention that way back in 2004, their president, that is Dr. Petrus Modiba, made himself very, very clear that he wanted Mamelodi Sundowns to dominate Africa. And to date, which I believe from 2004 to now, that makes it 22 years. They've only got one star to show for it, which they won way back in 2016. So surely, by the look of things, it looks like Mamelodi Sundowns that definitely not living up to the expectations of their management. And should they go on and not make it to the knockout stages, surely that will definitely spell disaster in as far as Mamelodi Sundowns standards are concerned. That might definitely strengthen the case of Michael Cardoso to be shown the door this time around, because he would have failed domestically so as inter club competition. So in short, Modiba, you are saying you don't see Mamelodi Sundowns making it to the knockout stages, just in short.
Yeah, in short, I don't see them making it. There's too much pressure there because if Al Hilal gets to collect the victory against Popo, already Al Hilal would have qualified. Then you check the other two teams, Mamelodi Sundowns. I'm seeing MC Alger. Just a simple draw for MC Alger
Will be enough.
then it will be confirmed as qualification for the quarterfinals as well. So Mamelodi Sundowns, it will be bye-bye. And I don't see Miguel Cardoso going to coach the club because some of the Mamelodi Sundowns are also pressing a panic button to say, okay, what if Orlando Perez, because the two teams are going to lock horns against one another come next week on the 18th of
yes.
Wednesday. The game, as I've said it last week, that will take place at FNB Stadium instead of Orlando Stadium. What if Orlando Perez gets to collect the victory there, which means they will stretch the gap from 3 points to 6 points. So those are some of the complications. Hence, there you see some panic from all the Mamelodi Sundowns fans. But they also want the head of Miguel Cardoso out of Klorkop.
It never rains, but it pours for Mamelodi Sundowns camp. Still with the CAF Champions League, as we step off from that topic, just to quickly wrap up at the permutations in as far as the group stages are concerned, and who stand a chance of making it to the knockout stages, and who face a possibility of getting a chop in as far as CAF Champions League is concerned.
I'll just pick quickly all those four groups. From Group A, I see Pyramids on 13 points. Definitely, these are the defending champions.
Yes.
Done well. As we know, they've beaten Mamelodi Sundowns last season 2-1 in that final. So I also see RS Berkane. These two teams, they've played one another in the CAF Super Cup. Remember, RS Berkane were crowned winners as well after winning the very same CAF Champions League. So, and they've just thrashed the very same RS Berkane 3-0 Pyramids. They've improved. I think they're representing Egypt well. These days, they seem to be topping Al Ahly, their neighbors as well. So those are my two teams to make it. In Group B, Al Ahly, AS FAR is very tight, but Al Ahly, I think, will only need a victory, a draw, even a draw, because on 9 points, AS FAR on 8 points. Then you check Young Africans on 5 points. This is a team from Mali with Nasreddin Nabi. Remember, Nabi Miguel Gamondi, the former Mamelodi Sundowns coach, who was coaching this club in Tanzania as well. So I think for this one, I'll give it to Al Ahly in AS FAR in Group B. In Group C, for Al Hilal, definitely, I think they stand a huge chance. They can't afford to lose 2 games on the trot following that MC Alger loss. So I'll give it to Al Hilal as well as the Rulana Mokoena as MC Alger. Rulana has done well. I think 2 weeks ago he won the cup with the very same MC Alger. So which he wants to continue with the same momentum for me. So in Group D, the Stade Malien on 11 points, and then Esperance Tunisia. Esperance Tunisia is tied up with Petro de Luanda. So any of the two can qualify, but Stade Malien on 11 points, definitely they've qualified for me. So it's a battle between AS Tunis and Petro de Luanda. Because of Simba, I can't count them. They are already out, despite appointing the former Stellenbosch Steve Barker into the club. But things hasn't done well, especially losing against the very same Esperance 1-0.
Oh, yes, they're still in Africa, but this time around, a step off from CAF Champions League and dive straight to CAF Confederation Cup. South Africa, once again, they do have representation in the form and shape of Stellenbosch FC and Kaizer Chiefs. How are South Africa's chances in as far as the CAF Confederation Cup with Kaizer Chiefs? I believe they're sitting comfortably at the summit of their group, while on the other side, I think Stellenbosch, rather, they seem to be huffing and puffing.
So Stellenbosch, for me, I haven't been impressed because they've played CRP Louisstad Remember, I said Romovic, who used to coach TS Galaxy,
Yes.
and he
Sunshine.
As he nicknamed Mr. Sunshine, and after
Yes.
he came in and apologized,
Yeah.
so he defeated Stellenbosch 1-0 in the first round. The second round, he won 3-0, and then Stellenbosch had to face last weekend the Oyo, this team from Congo, which also the Oyo thrashed Stellenbosch by 3 goals to 0. So you can see Gavin Hunt is struggling a bit, but I'll understand because of just came in and now. Taking over from Steve Barker. So, which means Stellenbosch for me, I checked into the standings here. They're currently fourth, level with Singida Black Stars on 4 points. So, for me, I think already they won't make it because CR Belustat is on 12 points. Then Otoyo, the oil I've just spoke about, is on 9 points. So already they've qualified. For me, they're just playing for pride come this weekend to wrap up the games in the CAF Confederations Cup. So, and you spoke about Kaizer Chiefs as well. So Kaizer Chiefs, they've just won against Al Masr 2-1. So for them, it was a sweet revenge because they lost to Al Masr 2-1 in the first round away in Egypt, where I felt they also made errors on their own. Brendan Peterson and Inacio Miguel comes to my mind because he gave them just a manna from heaven inside the box, unable to clear the ball there. So for me, Kaizer Chiefs, they just need to wrap it up in style against Zamalek away from home this coming
It's not going to be easy. That's Zamalek
Saturday,
after all.
6 o'clock p.m.
It's not going to be easy. That's Zamalek after all.
So they only need a draw. So it's going to be difficult because of I've seen Zamalek when they came here at Peta, they gave Kaizer Chiefs a run for their money. They always close channels for you to say you can't penetrate us. You must just make sure that you play those things, the quality helicopter football, long balls inside the box. This is what Kaizer Chiefs were playing. But at some point they were lucky because the goalkeeper of the very same Zamalek made an error in the time minutes for them to snatch a point. So for this game, they must just go there, grab an early lead, and then let's see how things can pan up because you score first, you unsettle the opponent. So this was our advice, Kaizer Chiefs. But you can see that currently confidence is high. They've just lost the Nedbank Cup, so I think this is for them to redeem themselves. So and also, I see them as an improved side compared to last season.
Still with the Kaizer Chiefs campaign in Africa CAF Confederation Cup, realistically going to this encounter, realistically, how do you fancy their chances? Why do I say that? Considering that Zamalek, they were supposed to play actually tonight, and the Egyptian Premier League, they decided to cancel that game so that they can give Zamalek enough chance to prepare for the encounter against Kaizer Chiefs come Saturday 6 p.m. this afternoon. So surely, that simply means that almost the whole country of Egypt this time around, they are putting their support behind their local team, which is Zamalek this time around. So surely, it goes without saying that the likelihood the stadium will be packed to the rafters. So surely Kaizer Chiefs, they might find that going very tough for them. And following Zamalek's surprise loss to the Zambian outfit Zesco this previous weekend, so surely they will be going all out to try and redeem themselves. And Kaizer Chiefs, they might just be on the receiving end.
I'm looking at their stats and I realized that they've played against a team called Kapuskop. This is the only game that they've lost by that 1-0, but at least they came to FNB. They managed to win that game, Kaizer Chiefs 1-0, and also snatched it off during the preliminary rounds on penalties. So that's where Brendan Peterson comes to the picture for saving that penalty as well. So, but you check in the standings, they are on 10 points, Zamalek on 8 points, Al Masry on 7 points, which means it's a battle between the three teams. Zasco United already out of the picture, but they shocked the very same Zamalek 1-0 last weekend, something I never saw it to happen. So
yeah, no one saw that coming.
so that's why
even
I felt
the Panthers,
you see,
they lost a lot. Go
that's-
bet range, I'm sure it was.
exactly.
Hollywood bets, I'm sure it was a mess.
I felt like football doesn't have the four because of already it was like if Kaizer Chiefs wins against Al Masry, definitely they'll go second. Immediately when the final whistle was blown, I'm like, hell, Zamalek have just lost against the Sbonelo United. Oh my dear, oh my goodness, how come? Because this is where they should have consolidated, at least get a draw away in Zambia, but it wasn't to be. So as you just mentioned that they've cancelled the game this evening of the very same Egyptian league, so they'll want to concentrate on take it seriously. So for Kaizer Chiefs, I think it's going to be a tough, definitely. But I'm looking at the stats. I think they'll come up with a draw.
There you have it, Africa. Johannes Peta. He does give the South African outfit, Kaizer Chiefs, a chance of making it to the knockout stages, of which will definitely go a long way to boost the Kaizer Chiefs' confidence, considering that domestically they do not stand any chance of winning any trophy. As Modiba rightfully mentioned, that they have bombed out of the Nedbank Cup. But before we get to the Nedbank Cup, as we wrap up continental news, let's look at the Nigerian number one goalkeeper, Stanley Nwabali, who also applies his trade here in South Africa for the Eastern Cape outfit in the form and shape of Chippa United, Abafana Bahote, Ababa Njengopelepele. The news that broke out is that Nigerian number one goalkeeper Stanley Nwabali has reached a mutual agreement with his former employers, Chippa United, to part ways. And the news that we are getting is that to date, Stanley Nwabali is still unemployed. So the big question is, who resigns without knowing that you've got a guaranteed job elsewhere?
Very interesting because I never saw this one coming, but let's give him the credit and the benefit of doubt of the fact that the same goalkeeper did absolutely well during the AFCON, where Nigeria had to bow out in the semifinals against Morocco, of which you check this journey, at some point he kept some those clean sheets. Good penalty saver, as you know, they call him Bobo by nickname. So it's done absolutely well for me. So, but then as soon as Visimusi Vilakazi arrived at Chippa United, this is where things changed a bit because of
For
for the
Stanley Nwabali.
Stonina Bali. That's where do you remember Dumisani Msibi? This is a
Yes.
goalkeeper who used to play for University of Pretoria, who used to play for SuperSport United. At some point, him and Ronan Williams were in the same team, and the majority of commentators would say the career looks bright here. So of which we saw it with Ronan Williams. Then after he left SuperSport, and then he went to play for University of Pretoria. Now he comes by and playing for Durban City. And guess what? When Municipal Foundation announced their awards, especially as far as Betway Premiership is concerned, he was nominated as the goalkeeper of the season to Msalim Sibi. And you check him as well. Although there was some bit of panic when Vilakazi took over. I'm like, where's Stanley Bali? They lost 3-0 against Amazulu. They lost 2-0 against Orlando Pirates. That's where I'm like, why didn't they introduce Stanley Bali? At least they started to bounce back and holding Kaizer Chiefs to a stalemate. This is where I felt like Kaizer Chiefs should have won that game, especially with the likes of Mfundo Vilakazi missing those sitters inside the box. So then they started winning. They've just won recently against Orbit College. 1-0 comes to mind. And then last against the very same Durban City, of which the coach Netemba Badela was playing against his former team, Chippa United. So he kept 3 clean sheets so far, which means he's done well. It's proving that he's not the goalkeeper of the season under Municipal Foundation by fluke. So hopefully his services will definitely be missed. But so far, I think they're coping well. So I'm giving him the benefit of doubt to Msanim Sibi to say you can save the team because of already they're out of the basement. They're currently third from bottom. So which is a good sign to say some good of improvement. 7 points out of a possible 15. So far, very impressive. But then Stenina Bali, I never saw it coming. Maybe his teammates, because majority of Nigerian players are playing abroad, might have said, no, maybe go and play abroad. But I'm checking Mamelodi Sundowns as well as Bo. I realized that Dennis Onyango, his age is over age as well, 41 years currently. So, and I think maybe they can take that Stonina Bali into his replacement as well, because you can see Ronan Williams is not at his very best. Jody February, the goalkeeper, is not playing. Riyad Peters, recently they've just introduced him last week. Yes, he did so well, although exposed by one of his teammates, Malebonga Kosa, when they conceded against Komora. So I foresee him going to Mamelodi Sundowns by the looks of things.
There you have it, Africa. Johannes Peta. He predicts that Nigerian number one goalkeeper Stanley Nwabali might just resurface at the Ngcobo boys. That is none other than Mamelodi Sundowns. We'll be watching that space with keen interest. But do not write Kaizer Chiefs Orlando Pirates off. And we also heard the news that the Tanzanian outfit in the form and shape of Simba SC from that part of the world, they are also chasing his signature. And do not write off the Saudi Arabia. We also heard that the team from that part of the world might also be interested to secure his signature. That will be very, very interesting indeed. Now, coming closer to home, Nedbank Cup is very, very much in a full swing. And what a shocking and a dramatic way to get a Nedbank Cup going by having the defending champions bombing out on the very, very first hurdle. Stellenbosch stunned Kaizer Chiefs on the first hurdle. Your take on that?
And the Kaizer Chiefs, by the looks of things, they were defending champions going into that
Yes.
match. And it was the repeat of the Carling knockout final, because I should I say last 16, because during the Carling knockout last 16, Stellenbosch shocked Kaizer Chiefs on penalties at the very same venue, the DHL Stadium. You go to last season, the same team met in the quarterfinals. Kaizer Chiefs thrashed Stellenbosch 3-1. So there was some bit of controversy where Steve Barker was unhappy to say why Pulio Modi scoring, whereas Josh Mato pushed the goalkeeper Sage Stevens. So in that game, I think they started brightly well because of Kaizer Chiefs made so many hostile changes. So which took me to the principle: if it's not broken, why fix it? Why fixing the winning combination, of which they came with 7 defensive players, 3 center backs? I'm like, oh. It took me back to the days of Stuart Baxter. It took me back to what I saw with Hugo Bruce when Bafana were playing Cameroon, where he came up with 7 defensive players accompanied by 3 central defense. And in that game, Stellenbosch were awarded quickly as they drew first blood with the courtesy of a penalty from Ibrahim Jabbar, the Nigerian. They were Flavio Silva kicked one of the players, Thabo Malesane, inside the box, and he was able to convert. I think he awaited Brendan Peterson to commit. Then the second goal, I saw in the middle of the park, specifically Ngcobo, they were losing that ball, and he was exposed by the Wisdom Titus and his teammate. That's why he unleashed the rocket, having seen that Brendan Peterson is way out of his goal line. It's just a well taken goal, contender for goal for Nedbank Cup, goal of the tournament. So this is how Gavin Hunt, as you know, he was playing against his former team. He wanted to prove a point as well, and I saw him applauding that goal. I'm like, yeah,
Yes.
the coach is very, very
I'm
excited.
doubles.
I
I'm
know
doubles.
from long range. Then they tried to come back. He's a Chiefs Flavio Silva
Yes.
from that penalty spot. Musa Lebusa handling the ball inside the box. And then at the very same time, I think Kaizer Chiefs should have also won that game, because you look at a player of Mduzi Shabalala, you get four clear cut chances. So you miss them, and then you're putting yourself under pressure from the fence, because of the fence. One sometimes they end up being patient with the player to say you keep missing those chances. Like we saw even against Al Masry, there were instances where he missed two clear cut chances. Where I'm like, you can't do that, because of Kaizer Chiefs in the next coming weeks they're playing Orlando Pirates. You miss a sitter like that, the fans are very difficult to forgive. So, but so far, Stellenbosch in that game, they deserve to win.
Oh, yes, things don't look great indeed at Kaizer Chiefs in as far as domestic football is concerned. Now, with the defending champions, Kaizer Chiefs bombed out on the first hurdle. The big question is, whom do you fancy to lift the 2025-2026 Nedbank Cup? Considering that the South African king of cups, that is the Orlando Pirates, they're still very much in it. The very same Orlando Pirates, they were the finalists in the previous Nedbank Cup final. So how do you fancy their chances? Like I said, they are the officially South African king of cups. Like they always say, numbers do not lie. This season, Orlando Pirates, they've collected almost every cup that was on the table for the taking. MTN 8 Carling Knockout Cup are already with Orlando Pirates and counting. The big question is Nedbank Cup next in as far as Orlando Pirates is concerned?
You mentioned something interesting by saying that in the cup final, let's not forget 3 times on a trot, because
Yes.
of already in the 2 seasons they've won it.
Yes.
Then they went on to the another final with,
Yes.
unfortunately, they lost to Kaizer Chiefs. Whereas,
Yes.
fans like talking to say,
Yes.
no, we did them a favor because of Kaizer Chiefs have said 10
10
years
years
without
drought.
a trophy, 10 years drought. Then Nasreddin now becomes in, and then he lifted up the trophy. But come next season, after being thrashed by School United 3-1, he was sacked by the club Kaizer Chiefs. So by then, Orlando Pirates to stand a chance. And currently, they're saying we are eyeing for quadruple. We want to win the Nedbank Cup as well as the Betway Premiership. Because of you check in the CAF Champions League, they were just crashed out on the first day, of which I was even asking myself, how do you lose against such a weak team called St. Ololipopo, where this player called Mokoko Amali was doing those clowns inside the ball, inside the
Yeah, that's
pitch.
like
The fans were just unhappy with that, and it was trending on social media. TikTok was worse. So, but then in this instance, they really stand a chance. You look at how they thrashed Chakuma Chamazibandila 4-1. Even the coach of Chakuma, Butali Nelukau, was saying, well, we're just accompanying a crocodile inside the water. So, like, I was just laughing on that phrase to say, hey, Orlando Perez, or just rampant on the day. But then it was lessons for them to say, you need to improve your team, Chakuma, because of I wasn't pleased with their display. They even test at least Melisub Telezi, because of Melisub Telezi, he was deputizing for Sipo China in goals. But the Pirates fans were not happy with the goal they conceded from the set play, because He could have done better. No goalkeeper wants to be beaten on his near post. That's one thing that I saw last weekend. But you look at the talent, the likes of talent, but impressive, and he was the man of the match in that game. So this is how Orlando Pirates, even from the sub, they won it from the sub because Patrick Masanganya came in, Sipompule came in, they put the ball in the back of the net. So all in all, they deserve to win that game. But let's see how far will they go because they always team up against this young oppositions. So, but I think they just Dondol Stars comes to mind because they once played against Dondol Stars in the semifinals. I remember where Dondol Stars
Yes, yes, I remember.
were being named Jan Killers between the likes of Amazulu, Super
Super
Sport
Sport, yes.
United. So, but they always done well against, except that poor history they had against Maluti Ep2 College, just like we saw with
That's
Kaizer Chiefs
2014,
previously,
yes.
2014 against your Baroka, FC Cape Town, University of Pretoria. But with Orlando Pirates, so far since the Maluti Ep2 College, they learned their lesson and they are looking for to bring back the trophy home because of Kaizer Chiefs have taken it, and now Kaizer Chiefs they're out. They should go all the way. So for this one, if Orlando Pirates doesn't win it, definitely an average side can win it, but let's also put Mamelodi Sundowns into the picture to say you're not doing well at home, but you want to conquer Africa, and there's a panic to say, as I've said it during CAF, that they see if they lose to Orlando Pirates, Pirates will stretch the lead to 6 points come next week Wednesday. At the same time, you have not done well. You lost to Kaizer Chiefs in the semi-finals last season. This is a time for them to improve as well and go all the way. But I'm not convinced about Mamelodi Sundowns for now. I'll just stand by the fence to say Orlando Pirates or one of the average side in the Betway Premiership.
There you have it, Johannes, Peta, giving it, tipping Orlando Pirates to do what they do best, collecting trophies. Like it is going out of fashion, like they always say, numbers do not lie, and the numbers this time around they definitely favor lapana indoda emnyama. Orlando Pirates ezimnyama ngenkani zikamakebhula zakhe mhlaba kamasipala zawushiya omapeketwane. They are the firm favorites to win the Nedbank Cup 2025-2026, especially with their old foes in the formanship of Orlando Kaizer Chiefs rather having bombed out in the first hurdle. Just to go back to that Orlando Pirates against the TTM match. Just in defense, Nyana, because in my days when I was playing football, I was a goalkeeper as well. So
Yeah.
I just want to come in defense of their goalkeeper in that match, Ubteles. I did hear a lot of critique against Ubteles on the goal that he considered, considering that that goal was on the right-hand side. And Ubteles, he did form his wall. And
Yep.
then the rule of goalkeeping, when the set piece is taken,
Yes.
you form the wall.
Yep.
And then as the goalkeeper, you should not stand behind the wall.
Exactly.
You should go and close the far side. And Upteles, as far as I'm concerned, he did exactly that. The wall was there, he went to and closed the far side, and he left the side where the wall was supposed to do its job. So as far as I'm concerned, I personally believe that the credit should be given to the TTM's player,
Kicker, yes.
or criticize the wall, that the wall failed to do its job. Because if you recall, Upteles had to come from where he was and dive all the way where the wall was. So basically, from my side, I'm in defense of Upteles. I don't think that criticism is fair because they did not score the goal where he was expected to
Yeah.
be. Where they scored the goal, he was not supposed to be there. It's the wall that was supposed to close that ball. So in his defense, I will say that criticism is a little bit misplaced.
You know, you reminded me of that game, the semi-final match I saw last season between Mamelodi Sundowns and Kaizer Chiefs at the Loftus Stadium, where remember Teboho Mokoena scored a thunderous free kick as well.
Yes.
The same Bruce Voma, he organized the wall,
Yes.
and then the wall did not do its job as well. So
Yes.
I get your point to say, yeah, you do make a point. Maybe the wall should have jumped for them
Yeah, that was the
to
wall's
prevent the ball from
responsibility, yes.
going in the back of the net. That's where I'm seeing the situation. But because of their use to Sipo Chain, they felt, no, Sipo Chain should have played. Or the young Siabonga Tlatla, because of Orlando
Yes.
Pirates recently, towards the end of last season, they introduced the young goalkeeper by the name of Siabonga Tlatla. It was just impressive for me to say, hey, the DDC is doing absolutely well. But then they must just be patient with the goalkeeper. So they feel like, no, Buteles is not material for Orlando Pirates. Siabonga Tlatla should have also been introduced. But then he is Perez' second choice goalkeeper to Sipo Chain. Sipo Chain is doing ever so well. He's brought in those trophies with the MTN8 at Orlando Pirates. But now they are only missing the big fish because it's been a while. Orlando Pirates have won the Betway Premiership
Yes.
almost 14 years. So it's not
Yeah,
looking good.
2012
Yes, you
or
can win
something.
your MTN8, your
Yeah.
Carling Knockout Cup,
Still have to win the
Nedbank
league.
Cup, but the league title is very important. I always say when I have got an argument with Peta fans, but the league title is very important. But we are able to go to Africa. I do get that, but the league title is very very important. Look at Mamelodi Sundowns, 8 times on the trot. No one can argue with them because no team in the Betway Premiership, including Pirates and Kaizer Chiefs, have reached that target. 15 titles in total. What more can you ask? So where you look at the likes of previous coaches, Daniel Tovi, Trot Moloto, Gordon Ichasent, they've done a wonderful job ever since taking over from the Glory Cup side. But for me, I advise Orlando Pirates to go for the league title. It's been a while.
It is simple. Orlando Pirates go all the way and win the Betway Premiership 25-20-26 this time around. As we step off from domestic football, but let's quickly check the news regarding South African football. What a better way to start that front, especially looking at the Kaizer Chiefs versus Orlando Pirates, Benting this time around going to another level. Kaizer Chiefs assistant coach this week made some shocking utterances when he went on to the media and said the Orlando Pirates, they are getting favored fixtures simply because of their chairman also doubling as the chairman of the PSL. And then he went on and said the Orlando Pirates, they've played almost lesser games much as compared to Kaizer Chiefs. What is your take on those utterances made by Kaizer Chiefs assistant coach? Are they placed or misplaced? Are they valid or not? What's your take on those?
For me, I see them as mind games because we've seen this before with this movie before with coaches complaining about congestion of fixtures. Peter Musimani comes to mind during his days at Mamelodi Sundowns. Like, yo, in 7 days we are playing 3 matches whatsoever. Even is it Jose Rivero also used to complain. Rolando Mokoena used to complain. So for me, I see them as mind games. But for him to go and mention Orlando Pirates, some of the people say, "Hey, Baba, I'll begin Tabasako." So some of the fans will always say that because of Orlando Pirates already are not in the CAF Champions League. So for him to mention Orlando Pirates, for me, I took it as a mind game to say we are concentrating on the Confederations Cup. At the same time, Kaizer Chiefs have been, you asked even the question last week, you say, are they title contenders or are they the dark horses? And I told you they are the dark horses, simple as that, because of I take them as pretenders to win the Betway Premiership, although majority are focusing on the Pirates and Mamelodi Sundowns. So, but for me, he was just playing mind games.
There you have it, Africa. Kaizer Chiefs assistant coach, his comments, they seem to be not carrying water at this time around. Maybe he was just playing mind games. Just like they always say, numbers do not lie. Just to go back to that, just to get the stats right in as far as number of games that are played by Orlando Pirates versus Kaizer Chiefs. I can confirm for you free of charge that to date this season, Orlando Pirates, they've played, if I were to include the cup games, games in Africa, so as the domestic football, Orlando Pirates, they've played a total of 31 games. Mamelodi Sundowns, they've played a total of 28 games, while Kaizer Chiefs have played a total of 26 games. You do the maths, you decide who has played more games between Kaizer Chiefs and Orlando Pirates. From where I come from, I was told that 31 rather, is more than 26. So just going back to those utterances made by Kaizer Chiefs head coach, I will say those utterances are null and void and are completely misplaced because, like they say, numbers do not lie. Still with the domestic football news, are there any news? Who is firing who? Who's signing who? I heard some shocking news coming from Durban. That's Durban City. They've parted ways with their coach.
Definitely, this is Netemba Badela. We already knew him as the coach who used to work with Rolando Mokoena at
Yes.
DDC, and then later on he went on to join Chupa United. I still remember at the start of the season he only coached 2 matches where he drew Mamelodi Sundowns 1-0. He lost to the same Durban City that sacked him 1-0. So then he goes on to join because of he wasn't in good terms with sporting director Sinetsipo Mali at Chipa United. And guess what? We also had the news that the same Sinetsipo Mali is heading to Amazulu, which means he's going to be Arthur's analyst. So I don't know his whereabouts up to so far. But then Sinetemba Badela is the only coach who's just left Chipa United. We don't know where he is heading, but rumors speculating is that he might go to Mamelodi Sundowns because Mamelodi Sundowns fans are saying Miguel Cardoso will be his last game come weekend against MC Alta. But we still have to wait and see about that. But so far, he is the only coach who has left the club. So I felt like he's introduced a good football at my. I watched them when the Durban City played against Polokwane City. They even won 1-0 in that game. They dominated the game. Just that Polokwane City on the day did not pitch up. So it seems like they are a team who are based on results. And let's not forget, they still have Ernst Middendorp in that team. So
Yes.
hopefully, maybe he might demote himself from that director position to go and become the head coach of the club. As you know, he's always had a relationship with Durban City during its days when it was still Maritzburg United. So I'm cautious about that. But then there's also a news speak stating that they are in need of a head coach. But let's wait and see up to so far. But as you know, Stanino Bali leaving the club and also Snetamba Baduela following that. But he is a good coach by the looks of it, very tactical discipline. So hopefully we'll go back to Mamelodi Sundowns. Maybe they might introduce a head coach as well. But we'll come and dish out to the listeners out there who are watching this wonderful talk.
Oh, yes. If one were to ask me about the way Durban City management are running their club, personally, I will say I'm not happy with the Durban City management. Why do I say that? Personally, I strongly believe that Durban City management, they are a little bit trigger happy. Just going back to their previous coach, that was Kevin Hunt. Personally, I strongly believe that they shot Kevin Hunt the door prematurely. So as Opatela, I also like Johannes, you also rightfully mentioned that he has introduced a great football in as far as Durban City are concerned. They've been displaying a great football. So considering that into account, so for me, both coaches, Kevin Hunt and Patela, I do not think that their dismissals was warranted. So I personally think they were a little bit premature for me.
With Gavin Hunt, I'm thinking that maybe because of he lost to Kaizer Chiefs. Remember that game where
But you
he
can't judge
approached the
a
game
coach ka one game,
defensively, Vashapua 1-0. Then you go to Orlando Pirates as well. That 2-0 at Moses Mabida. So I think maybe that was the punishment by the owner, the Farouk Kadodia, to say, let's just part ways with
but
Gavin
they were
Hunt.
still in top 8, man. And they are
Exactly.
the rookies, Nohal.
And they've got good players. If you check there, there's Samkelo Maseko, what a player. Hashim Domingo on form as well in that team. There's Fezile Kaba at the back, very solid. The experience of Darren Kitt, although a bit erratic because of
Yes.
I was disappointed with the way they lost to Chipa United,
Oh, that
where
goal.
him and Terence
That
Mashiro,
howler.
they met howlers, the two of them, and he was exposed. But I look at them, they've got those young Trevor Mokoena, good players in that team. So they should be contending for the league title, but for them to say Gavin Hunt like that, it was just harsh. September Badala, it's worse because when they spoke about them not being a positioning team, but a team looking for results. So, but it was just a bit harsh with September Badela. But let's wait and see because of I don't know who's going to take over. But I'm thinking Ron and Dorp because has always been having a good relationship with Maritzburg United. Then come Durban City, he's been appointed as the director. Then there was a question to say, can he work hand in hand with Gavin Hunt? But then I realized no, they can because of the style of football is similar. Some they
But
call
Kevin
it
Hunt made it clear
helicopter
that he is not
football.
prepared to report to Middendorp. So that was the issue. Kevin Hunt was going to have to report to Middendorp. And Kevin Hunt made himself very clear he's not going to play that game. I see boy, Middendorp.
But you check Middendorp outside football, a well-educated coach. When I was doing my research, I'm like, coach with 5 degrees. Yo, this man is very intelligent. And I had one of the former players, is it Elias Mwepe, saying that coach is a straight talker, very disciplined coach, very punctual coach. Whenever he says training starts at 3 o'clock, if it's not 3 o'clock, then you have to stand aside. So, but I'm thinking he might be there. But then, yes, I heard the story that he said he can't work with Ernst Middendorp. So I don't know what's the reason beyond that, but he was doing well for me.
Oh, yes, it goes without saying that Durban City management, where you offer that decision making, surely, it is a little bit questionable. They make a premature decision or they panic. I don't know what could be the reason. Now, moving away from African football and go elsewhere, there is in Europe, what a better place to land than landing in England. And then we zoom into English Premier League, where it is a drama. Every point counts as Arsenal and Manchester City going neck to neck in the race of the English Premier League 2025-2026 season.
A very tricky situation because at some point Arsenal were leading 6 points, but Manchester City, I think they seem to be very inconsistent by dropping those points. So, and we always said it, Arsenal, we always, even last week here, we're comparing them with Orlando Pirates to say this thing of almost doesn't count, must come to an end. They must just go for the league title because they've got an opportunity as Liverpool as well. They're not doing well in that EPL as defending champions. They should improve as well. Man United, very impressive. Michael Carrick, let's give him credit. 4 out of 4 wins.
Yes.
What more can we ask? I think he has brought in that confidence back from all of the Man United fans. I think for me, if he can continue with the same momentum, he will end up being second or winning the league title. But then,
You're being too ambitious now.
yeah, I'm being ambitious. But then, by the way, the Manchester United are scoring goals,
Yes.
something that we never saw with the likes of Ruben Amorim. They were struggling. So, but ever since he took over, so I think maybe they might say if he finishes the season having doing absolutely well like he's doing, definitely they might appoint him as a head coach come next season.
Oh, yes, it is going to be interesting indeed, in as far as Manchester United are concerned, that will they eventually appoint Michael Carrick as the permanent coach of the Red Devils? Like Modiba did mention that so far he has played 5 games. Actually, I believe the last one, the fifth one, was the last night. Out of 5 games, he had won 4, and then he drew the last one against the West Ham 1-1. He did very, very well indeed, even in that game that they drew 1-1 with West Ham. VAR was not on their side. Sesko's goal was actually ruled offside, of which the VAR maybe was a little bit questionable. So, by the look of things, I believe tonight Manchester City, they take on Fulham. That is not a big fixture in as far as the English Premier League is concerned. But considering what is at stake this time around, that 6-point difference between Arsenal and Manchester City, surely that makes all the eyes, all the roads to lead to that Manchester City versus Fulham game. Will Manchester City bring the lead to 3 points, or will Arsenal maintain that 6 points lead?
They just need to continue with consistency at Arsenal. Man City, they should win because of, I see Fulham is outside top 8 currently. So this is an opportunity for them to say, let's just win, redeem ourselves, and put pressure on Arsenal because of, as we always say, that the game in hand are not points end. So Arsenal will be under pressure when they go to play the next match. So it's going to be a lovely match.
It is going to be a lovely match indeed. The big question is, will Manchester City lessen that gap between them and Arsenal, or will Arsenal maintain that lead, and then come on Thursday, they will get a chance to stretch that lead way back to 9 points. But still in Europe, now this time around, we move from England and straight to Spain, and we check out what's happening as far as Spanish football is concerned. That is La Liga. Barcelona and Real Madrid, they are literally on each other's throat.
And they are separated by a point because of last weekend before they played the matches in action. Barcelona were on 55 points and then Real Madrid on 54 points. So 1 point difference to say it's going down to the wire. The other teams, Atletico Madrid and everyone, I'm just excluding them. But for me, I'm going to focus on these 2 points because they've stretched close to 10 points on Atletico Madrid. So which means whoever slips up, then Madrid can go top. Barcelona will drop second. So I just like that battle between the two because of it's been the case even last season. So let's wait and see if they'll do welcome this weekend.
Oh, yes. What a 2-horse race between those Spanish giants in the firm and shape of Barcelona and Real Madrid. Come end of the season, the big question is, who will eventually get over the line? Will it be the boys from Nou Camp, or will it be La Panada Whites, La Panada Real Madrid? Now, changing gears from football, diving straight to cricket. T20 Cricket World Cup is taking the center stage out in Asia, which is co-hosted by India and Sri Lanka, and Africa is represented in that T20 Cricket World Cup. What have you made so far in as far as the T20 Cricket World Cup, especially from the African perspective?
I'm so impressed, especially with Zimbabwe. I saw that they've won the game match against Oman, where I see they posted 106 for 2. They've only lost 2 wickets in 13.3 overs. Which means that Oman were the ones who started batting first. So, because they scored 103 runs from 19.5 overs, which means that Zimbabwe emerged the winners on 8 wickets to say we're representing Africa so well. So I'm still waiting to see Namibia up to so far, but also South Africa. What a bright start!
Yes,
so
against
what a
Canada.
bright start against Canada. I see some posting 213 for 4 after 20 overs, and then Canada 156 for 8 after 20 overs. So which means that our very own Kunten Cook, Aiden Makram were impressive in that game. So which took me back to those preparations against West Indies to say those players as well were impressive. they are taking that confidence from the West Indies match, and that warm-up match we lost against India on
India,
30
yes.
runs. So they're also part of the players who had more runs after overs. So very impressive for me. So as Eden Makram scored 59 runs from 32 balls, and then also David Miller, they're scoring 39
Miller
runs
time.
from 33 balls. So it was a good combination for me. Very impressive. I was so happy to say, as I woke up this morning,
Yes.
our very own Proteas were in action against Afghanistan because the game kick started at 7:30. And I realized that our very own South Africans already have posted 187 points for six. They've lost 6 wickets after 20 overs. This is an opportunity for our opponent, Afghanistan, to bet. So will they win it? I'm not convinced. I think Proteas will collect another points. As we've said it even last week here, that the only team that I fear is New Zealand. And speaking of New Zealand, we will be playing them over the weekend on Saturday. To the fans out there who will be willing to watch this encounter, the game is taking place at 3:30 in the afternoon on Saturday. So good luck to our Proteas, Coach Shukri Conrad, and all the players. Kagiso Rabada, very impressive. Lungin Kiti, I saw him grabbing 3 wickets. I was so pleased to say that represented the country well. So I'm looking also as our arch rivals as well, Australia and India. They had a super bright start, and I can't wait to see them in the knockout stages. So, in terms of other fixtures that will be taking place, to those who will be willing to watch this particular matches, later on today, Australia will play Ireland at 11:30, and then there's England up against West Indies later on at 3:30 in the afternoon, and then tomorrow, there's Sri Lanka up against Oman, Nepal up against Italy, as India as well will be hosting Namibia. Namibia will be representing Africa, so it's good luck to them. Let's see if they'll have a good performance like we've seen with Zimbabwe. So then you go to Friday, Australia up against Zimbabwe. Good luck to our very own Zimbabwe Warriors there, as we always nickname the Warriors. 7:30 kickoff in the morning, and then there's Canada up against United Arab Emirates at 11:30. There's also United States up against Netherlands, and lastly, our very own Proteas will take on Pakistan. So at 6 o'clock in the evening, 4 matches to take place tomorrow on Friday, I should say. So good luck to all our Proteas under the leadership of Coach Shukri Conrad and Lunginkiti Kagiso Rabada, Kobin Bosch. So I think they'll definitely do well. So I was so pleased.
A great job indeed, yes, but by the Proteas as a team, and and also looking at Lungingiti's achievement that he was voted the player of the match. One will go back to the from the days when the World Cup squad was omitted, was announced rather, and then there was a big discussion regarding the omission of O'Neill Bartman. Most of the cricket fans, they were criticizing the inclusion of Lungingiti. They were saying that Lungingiti should have been dropped, and Bartman is the one that was supposed to be in his place. And what a way for Lungingiti to go and silence his critics by picking that man of the match award, showing that I am not here in the squad just because to fill up the gaps for the quotas, but rather on a performance basis. Job well done indeed to Lungi Ngidi. And still with the cricket, but this time around we're talking women's cricket. South African women's cricket team, where they are entertaining their Pakistan counterparts, Laura Volvart and her troops. They are taking on the Pakistanis.
You know, you don't talk about the Proteas women without mentioning Lara Folvard, Captain Fantastic for me.
Yes.
So you look at that game against Pakistan, where our very own South African posted 185 for 5 after 20 overs, because it's a 3 series. To those who are willing to watch the match, it's a 3 series match, and the other matches will take place on Friday as well as Sunday, because of it's from the 10th of this particular February until the 16th. So on that note, Coach Mandla Mashimbi there, good luck to
Yes.
him so far. So we've started brightly so well in that T20 first series, and then the Pakistanis posted 180 for 9 after 20 overs, but unfortunately they fell short as we won the match by 5 wickets. So, and we're leading 1-0 the series. So well done to them. And let's see on Friday how they'll pen up in that second series, and then also the third series. And after that, we'll also be turning attention into the ODI against the very same Pakistan. So I'm so pleased so far. Steve Mutlaba, my homeboy, well done, good job as a manager, and also Mandla Mashimbi. But as you spoke about Lola Forvat, very impressive. Sunelus as well, that combination superb.
Oh, yes, congratulations are in order indeed to the women Protea side. But still with the Proteas versus Pakistan game, the big talking point in as far as that first match is concerned was of the debutant Kyla Reinaker. The big question is, was she going to sink or to swim? By the look of things, it looks like she swam pretty well. She got herself her first wicket on her debut. As if that was not good enough.
Another wicket.
South Africa, they found themselves in a situation where they were facing the last ball. And Kyla Renaka is the one that was on strike batting. From one ball, South Africa needed 2 runs. And considering that Kyla Reneka was the debutant, everybody expected Kyla Reneka to crumble under that immense pressure. Oh boy, did she rise to the occasion, or did she rise to the occasion? What a better way to end the match. Instead of giving South Africa those 2 runs that South Africa needed from one ball, she went overboard. She decided between 2 things: going home or go big. She opted for the latter. She went big, and guess what? She got the maximum 6 runs. What a better way to end South Africa's innings, getting South Africa over the line by going big, getting those 6 runs instead of just 2 runs, which was also not very, very easy at all. And especially considering that she was the debutant. By the look of things, it looks like the future is definitely bright in as far as women's Proteas is concerned, and more importantly for Kyla Reneka. She's definitely one for the future indeed. Now we're moving away from cricket as we wrap our discussion. We look at what's happening as far as rugby is concerned. Ibhola lombhoxo basho njalo laphana phesheya kwenciba laphana Eastern Cape bathi ibhola lombhoxo. Rugby 7, HSBC Rugby Sevens. South Africa, they had Blitzburg representing them. They had a tough, not that a normal start. They
Yes.
beat Argentina and Spain, and then they went on to lose against Fiji. And things did not look good. And some critics started writing Blitzburg off. And what a better way to come back for the Blitzburg. Like they always say, it's not always how you start. It's not what matters, not how you start, but rather how you finish.
And I was so worried to say, how do you lose against Fiji? I think
Hey, when Fiji get in, when I go to sevens game.
because of the always winners as Black Box, they never disappoint. But like you said, even when we had the discussion that it's going to be a tough game,
Yeah,
so
I
I
think-
thought maybe you are joking. Then I realized that we lost 2014 against Fiji.
Full stages.
Pool stages. Then unfortunately we had to play in the knockout stages against Australia. Surprise, surprise! We just won that game by 28 points to 12. So that was a way to say, let's go to the final. I think this is an opportunity for us to settle the score. This is an opportunity of us to make sure that Fiji, if you can, what is happening on the left can happen on the right. And guess what? They never disappointed on the day. So those other players, you are Rian Oosthuizen, who scored a braces of tries there, as well as Sebastian Job. It's well done. And our conversionist, Ricardo Duarte, he never disappointed on the day. So for us to make sure that we win that particular match by 21 points to 19, very impressive. So hopefully in the upcoming matches, they'll definitely do well. Hopefully our very own Springbok as well might have been watching to say the preparations to Australia are coming. So you should be ready to make it maybe 5 times world champions, because currently we are on 4 as world champions for the Springboks. So I was so pleased as well, and it's well done to them as well.
Oh, yes, a job well done indeed to the Blitzburg for being crowned Perth champions when they silenced the Fijians in the final. Yes, they did beat us in the pool stages, but we knew exactly what to do when it matters most in the crunch time, in the final. And then the Blitzburg, they said, oh boy, you're not going to do it twice this time around. I believe in this Zulbati, so Blitzburg, they were not going to allow Fiji to beat them second time in one tournament, and there was enough to see them walking away victorious at this time around. As we wrap our discussion, let's look at what's happening in as far as European Rugby Champion is concerned. That is 6 nations. The big fixture, surely, that everyone was looking at was the one between France and Ireland. What a stunner.
What has done, and it took place last week Thursday, where France were the defending champions going into that game, and Ireland were saying we want to cause an upset. There's no way they're going to defend that title, but at the end of the day, the emerged winners are French on 36 points to 14.
That's a thrashing and a
That's a
half.
thrashing on their own.
That's
Those are Six
demolishing.
Nations lessons for
Especially
me.
considering how arrogant Ireland is. How
Definitely.
big mouth Ireland have.
So it was to be. So we also saw the other matches that took place over the weekend. England thrashing Wales by 48-7. It took me back to the World Cup where we also thrashed Wales as Springboks, remember? So then Italy winning 18-15 against Scotland. So in terms of the standings of after that one game has played, England with a better points difference there, won 5 points, level with France 5 points, and then there's Italy on 4 points, Scotland also on a point. So Ireland at number 5 as well as Wales, they are yet to get those points. So, but let's see, because of the matches do continue this wonderful weekend, as the United Rugby Championship is still on a break, returning back to action next weekend. So with the fixtures that are taking place from this Saturday, England will take place on against England. Will host
England
England.
take on Ireland.
Ireland, yes, the tough one as well. 4 o'clock for those who are willing to watch, the rugby fans out there. And then there's also Wales up against Scotland later on at 6:30. And then on Sunday, there's a Wales up against France. So the matches are continuing thick and fast, because of it looks like this wonderful February, it will be all Six Nations in action, despite the return of the United Rugby Championship. So very, very interesting so far.
Oh, yes. Job well done indeed to France by your silencing. I'm tempted to say the big mouth island, but I'm not going to say that. I'll just congratulate them on that great win indeed against the island. And then the England versus Wales game. The big question is, if one were to look at that encounter, the big question is, will we ever see Wales winning a rugby match in our lifetime? Why do I say that? Because if I look at that feature, I believe there was this 23rd match that they have lost back to back. So surely, by the look of things, it looks like it doesn't rain, but it pours for the Welsh rugby side. So going forward to this weekend, the big encounter, surely, it goes without saying that the England versus Ireland game, it is going to be a crunch of a game indeed, especially considering that Ireland, they come from that loss against France, and England on the other side. This season, they seem to be on the rise. So it is going to be a big one indeed. It's going to be a question of who wants it most. But if you were to ask me, I think as much as England are doing well, I think Ireland might just bounce back this time around.
Yeah, they can't afford to lose 2 matches on that road. To check England as well. We say we want to consolidate and pressure France, because France are defending champions, and I think that the points difference will also be key. So I can't wait. It's a good game to watch come this weekend.
Oh, yes, it is going to be interesting indeed. That's how we come to an end of our today's episode. Please do not forget to do the honorable thing, as always, to subscribe, like, comment, and even better, share this episode. Like they say, make the circle bigger. On socials, we are available. Myself, at Sbonelo Ngcobo across all social media platforms. And
I am Modiba Johannes on Facebook, and then on TikTok, I am at Modiba. But before we go, let's just give the fans, those who would be willing to watch the Betway Premiership fixtures. This coming Friday, we've got Durban City in the absence of Netemba Badela, as we just spoke that he has parted ways with the club. They will be taking on Chess Galaxy. Chess Galaxy as well, they need to improve despite their win in the Nedbank Cup against Makesi. And then there's Makesi also, as rumors are saying that Alan Fries might join the club, but we'll watch that scoop with keen interest. They will be hosting Golden Arrows. Golden Arrows as well, they haven't been doing well despite their win in the Nedbank Cup against Orbit College, thrashing that 3-0. So, but in the Betway Premiership, very, very poor. So they're conceding goals, something that they need to work on going forward. Then on Saturday, we've got Orlando Pirates up against Batlabani Bandwa, Marumo Cannons, the repeat of the Culling knockout final. I think Coach Alexandra Lafitte as well is under immense pressure, because they haven't been picking up points. They last won their game in October. It's not looking good. And Pirates are saying, we want to keep in touch with Mamelodi Sundowns. We want to stretch the lead at the top, because Sundowns will be off action in the CAF Champions League. So we've got Polokwane City as well hosting Suwelele FC. Lehlohonolo Sema as well against his former team. He needs to improve as well. Coach Botimihafo will be saying, we just lost yesterday as Amazulu lost 1-2-1 against Polokwane City in that last 32 of the Nedbank Cup. And speaking of the Nedbank Cup, the draw will take place tonight at 7 o'clock, tune in to Super Sport Channel 202. So that's where we want to see where will Orlando Pirates host, or will they travel to their next opponent of the Nedbank Cup last 16. So with Chipa United as well, we'll be taking on Richards Bay. I like this fixture because it always produces fire. It always produces number of goals. Then on Sunday, the only game of the day is Kuku United up against struggling team Orbit College. Orek Tintla has been under scrutiny as well. Put Poriso Mahoya of Orbit College under scrutiny. Those are the fixtures of the Betway Premiership. You snooze, you lose 3 points. Very, very important. On that note, the name still remains Modiba Peta, Johannes Peta as well. And yeah, it's a very good day.
Oh, yeah. So this is a sports gig on One Africa Radio TV with Sbonelo Ngcobo and Johannes Peter. Till then, it is bye bye.
Bye-bye.